To the September meeting of the Arlington Democrats. Very excited to be coming at you with only 72 days left to go in the election cycle before we defeat Donald Trump and restore sanity to our country. But we will not be able to do it without the work of everybody on this call and beyond. So thank you very much for joining tonight. We are going to be talking a lot about the activities that we've got going on in Arlington and beyond, that we are going forward with full force, and we need your help. So the focus of this meeting is really about all of the activities and ways that you can engage in order to beat Donald Trump and to elect all of our terrific Democrats up and down the ballot. We're also going to be joined later in the session, but with a candidate announcement for 2021, because we're always looking ahead, which we're excited about, but definitely want to emphasize that if you are not already working to save democracy, now is your time to get involved, and we've got lots of great ways to do it here with the Arlington Democrats. So we are once again coming at us online. We are continuing to social distance during the public health crisis out of an abundance of caution. And in that vein, I wanted to encourage everyone again that if you would like a free Vote Blue mask, that they remain available for pickup at the address listed on the screen. Hopefully everyone can see the screen that I'm sharing. I spared Detta and I did not put a picture of her up on the screen. I am instead showcasing our lovely model this month is Rose Fabia, our vice chair of Beyond Arlington. You are welcome, Rose. So,
hey, Jill,
yes.
This is Ellen Chinney. I cannot see the address where the free masks are.
It's 812 South Quincy Street. And we will,
that's easy to remember.
Yes, and we will definitely post these slides to our website, which is our practice after the meeting. So anything that we talk about here today, if I reference a slide or someone else references a slide, we'll make these available on our website on the event page for the monthly meeting for you to grab. So thanks for that question, Ellen, and you'll be able to get it later. So I think
that's great. That's great. You've really adapted to this well. Now you've had a lot of months of practice.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's only fitting that we highlight Rose. She was our 2019-2020 Campaigner of the Year from our Blue Victory Dinner Volunteer Award. So there she is in all of her glory, keeping up the good work, helping to elect caucus last 2 months ago now in July. So grab your Vote Blue masks and get ready to rumble as we come into the home stretch of this election cycle, the next 72 days. Okay, now we are action oriented here, and so I definitely want to start out the meeting with an action that you can take right now to help elect Democrats. So please pull out your phones or go to the browser on your computer and go to Facebook and go to the Arlington Democrats Facebook page. That's at Arlington Dems. And there you will see pinned to the top of our page a post that looks an awful lot like this. We are promoting early voting big time here at the Arlington Democrats. And in particular, we are emphasizing this year early in-person voting. Everyone who can do so, if you are comfortable enough leaving your home to go grocery shopping, for example, we are asking you to go vote early in person. We are very fortunate, and I know we're going to hear later during the meeting from our voter support team, but we are very fortunate to have a number of early in-person voting locations across Arlington, lots of different days and times for you to be able to vote, and we want to make sure people know about this.
To help us.
If you are not on mute, I would appreciate if you could be on mute, so people are sure to get this important information, which is about early voting. So please, if you would, go to your Facebook page and find this post and hit share or hit like, but preferably share, and get this post into your network, because we want to make sure everyone is aware that early voting is an option and that in-person voting in particular starts on September 18th. And I know the Joint Campaign and Voter Support are excited that the Arlington Registrar has finally posted the specific days and times when in-person voting early is going to be available. So that information is available on their website now. And if you go to our arldemsvote.org page, it will direct you to that site with all of the great information about early voting, along with some other information that we think is good to know for this election cycle. So hopefully I've talked about this enough that you've had the opportunity to hit share or like on this post into your network. And I am confident that your friends and family will appreciate this. It is a great message. It's a great reminder, reasonably nonpartisan, except for the hashtag, that early voting is a possibility in Virginia starting in just a couple of weeks. So very excited about that. We're going to be hearing more about that later. In particular, I want you to listen up for information from our early voting poll greeting team, because we need tons of folks out there to help greet voters in a socially distant and safe manner. But more to that to come. I do want to move us along in our agenda to our next section, which is voting items. We do have a little bit of business to take care of here tonight before we get to our volunteer opportunities. Fortunately, none of the voting items this week are particularly controversial, I think, which is a nice change of pace from last month. But this month we have 3 voting items, the first of which is the proposed addition of a steering committee member and also a few valued precinct captains to our ranks. So almost every month, we're delighted to welcome new folks into leadership. It is not hard to join Arlington Democrats leadership at all. We are always looking for great new precinct captains to join us. You are a voting member of the party. If you join, Carol will give you information about what precinct captain entails, but you are the boots on the ground to help us get information out to Democratic voters and volunteers in your neighborhood. It's a great way to get involved. We're so excited to be welcoming 4 new precinct captains to our ranks this month. Joe Gulick in Cherrydale, Amy Rollins in Columbia, Susan Campbell in Yorktown, and Vidya Batu in AUSA precincts. In addition, we have Paula Potts, who's going to be moving over from Metro Action, which has been relatively quiet as folks really aren't commuting very much by Metro these days. She's going to be moving over to voter registration and leading up those efforts in the critical last month and a half or so until the voter registration deadline. Steering unanimously voted to recommend the appointment and/or election of these folks to the committee. And I am now looking for a motion from the full committee to elect our precinct captains and appoint our 1 new steering committee member. Anybody feel like so moving?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
I hear a proper motion with a second. I don't believe that there's who would dare to discuss such an incredible addition to our ranks. So I'm going to be looking for a vote on that from our voting members, all of whom were contacted by me prior to our meeting, as is our practice with information about our voting items. So if you could please, if you're a voting member, please go to the participants section of the Zoom meeting, look for the little green circle button and click that button, which says, I believe, yes. And Maggie will hopefully help me out here with that explanation and let me know what the vote looks like.
It looks like it passes.
Sure about that?
Trying to. Well, it's the judging who is a voting member versus not a voting member in the participant list. Yes, that passes.
Great. Thank you very much, and welcome to these great new folks to the voting members of the committee. Moving on to our second voting item. We have 3 measures that are appearing on our November ballot. We dealt with one last month. This month we are dealing with the other 2. So what we have on our screen right now is the bond referenda. So there are going to be 5 bond referenda, so 1 bond section with 5 different referenda on our ballot, where the county is seeking approval from the voters to go ahead with these bonds. They are in support of our capital improvement plan. Each bond referendum focuses on a different aspect of the capital improvement plan, from transportation to parks and recreation, municipal facilities, our schools, and improving stormwater capacity. We decided to hold a morning mug on this topic to make sure that anyone who wanted information about these bond referenda could receive it. Can't say it was our most well-attended event at 10 a.m. on a Saturday, but we're really grateful to our 2 county board members, Matt DeFerranti and Takis Karantanis, and our school board vice chair, Barbara Cannonen, for joining to provide an overview of why these referenda are so important. The steering committee, when it met last week, considered a resolution supporting supporting these the bond referenda, which was drafted by our calls to action chair, Becky Dick. It received unanimous steering approval. The resolution was circulated to the full voting membership earlier this week. I am looking for a motion to adopt this resolution with the understanding that doing so, if we were to adopt this resolution in support of the bond referenda, would mean that the Arlington Democrats will support the bond referenda on the November ballot in our sample ballot.
So
This is
moved.
Jason. So moved.
And seconded.
Okay, it's properly moved and seconded. I want to see if there's any discussion about that because I'm not sure if I heard a comment. It is a riveting topic, but an important one. I'm not hearing any conversation, so I will close the discussion period and move us to a vote. So again, using the same protocol as before, if you could, in the participant section of the Zoom, find the little green circle yes button, click it, and register your support or not. Well, your support for the resolution, and we will see where we stand with the yes votes. Maggie, I'm once again looking to you for help.
If you are a voting member, please cast your vote.
And if I could find my participant screen without screwing up my
Oh.
perfectly calibrated IT, I would click yes for what it's worth.
There we are. It passes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And if you didn't get a chance to check out the morning mug, we do have that available on our YouTube channel, and the link is in the slides. And again, we will be posting the slides to the website. I want to thank Maggie for organizing and moderating that morning mug, which was greatly appreciated. Moving on to our next and last voting item, which is the last measure that we will see on the November ballot. It is a constitutional amendment that would provide a permanent tax exemption for disabled veterans with respect to auto taxes on one automobile. Again, our calls to action chair, Becky Dick, prepared a resolution supporting this constitutional amendment, which was discussed at steering last week and was given unanimous approval. The resolution was circulated to our voting members earlier this week, and I am looking for a motion to adopt what I believe to be a non-controversial and really very important resolution in support of our veterans.
So
So
moved.
moved.
And seconded.
Second.
Okay, I hear a motion and it's properly been seconded. I want to pause for a moment to see if there's any discussion. Hearing none, I'm going to move us to a vote. So again, if you could please go to the participant section of the Zoom, and if you are a voting member, please click on the little green circle button that says yes. How are we doing, Maggie?
Slowly. If you are a voting member, please go and cast your vote.
Haha.
There we go. That passes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thanks, Maggie. As always, our amazing deputy chair of the party helps with the Zoom aspect of organizing the meetings, and I greatly appreciate it. Okay, moving us right along. We are now going to head into our joint campaign update. The joint campaign is the Arlington Democrats' local campaign that ensures that all of our candidates from school board to the president are represented in our campaign activities, and that we're pushing hard up and down the ballot for all of our great Democratic candidates. We have 5 different joint campaign co-chairs this year, several of whom I believe are on the line. So let me turn it over to them. I believe Corey, but correct me if I'm wrong, for our joint campaign update.
Thanks, Jill. Good evening, everyone. So I wanted to first get you all excited for our Labor Day event that's coming up in just a few short days. It's hard to believe we're already in September, but yes, our Labor Day virtual barbecue and cookbook design contest is this Monday, Labor Day, September 7th at 1 p.m. We have a lot of really exciting speakers that you'll be hearing from, including Congressman Don Beyer, DNC Vice Chair Michael Blake, as well as Virginia delegates Jay Jones, Elizabeth Guzman, Jennifer Carroll Foy, as well as Josh Cole. We're very, very excited to have them here in Arlington. We think it's going to be a really fun and engaging program. So if you have not bought your gold card yet, we do encourage you to do so. Next slide, please. So yes, as I mentioned, our Labor Day barbecue and cookbook design contest is this coming Monday. If you have not submitted your recipes yet, please do so. Thank you to all the elected officials who we've gotten several recipes from in the last few days. You probably got an email from Susie Lee, who's our event co-chair, one of our event co-chairs for the Labor Day event, encouraging you to submit a recipe or a cookbook design. So thank you to all those who have done that so far. If you haven't, there is still time. As you see here, there's a few elements that you might want to consider before submission. So the theme is Virginia workers. Encourage you to make sure that your designs are in portrait orientation. Make sure they're kid-friendly and appropriate. PDF or JPEG is preferable. And then you can email that to, you can email your cover design to arldimscookoff@gmail.com. Next slide, please.
Well, I'm going to move it ahead. I do want to emphasize this is your opportunity to be, to have your recipes enshrined in a commemorative cookbook for a super weird year for all time. So I definitely want to encourage everybody to take advantage of this opportunity.
Yes, thanks, Jill. And I will also add on to what Jill said. It does not have to be chili. As you know, in the past, it's been the chili cook-off, and we rebranded it a little bit just for this year. So I've gotten that question several times. It does not have to be chili. You can submit any recipe that you like. If you want, if you have your phones ready or if you're on your computers, go to arlingtondemocrats.org/gold card, and that's where you can purchase your gold card. And there is an event link. If you click on there's a link to the event barbecue where you can click on that, and that will have all the instructions that we've displayed on the screen for submitting your recipes and for your cover designs. As a reminder, I encourage you to get these your gold card tickets before next Monday, because starting next Monday, the price does go up by $25, and it will remain that price for the rest of the season. Obviously, we encourage you to buy a gold card since you'll get access to all 4 events. Just to remind you, we have this event on Monday, and then we have our Honoring a Senior Dim event on September 26th. And we have our AYD trivia event that we're doing with the Arlington Young Democrats on October 3rd, and our special celebration Arlington Democrat Centennial on October 8th, which will be a very fun event that you don't want to miss. So reminder about the ticket prices here. Again, encourage you to buy your gold cards. And next slide, please. So I want to announce here today our Senior Dim honoree. This year, the Arlington Democrats will be honoring Sharon Davis, who has been a past party chair of the Arlington Democrats, has made a ton of civic contributions to the Arlington Democratic community over the years, and is just a really outstanding and all-around great person for this award. And we're really excited to honor Sharon on September 26th. Again, if you get your gold card, we can make sure that you have a spot there. We think that we're going to have a lot of really exciting, interesting speakers who are going to be talking about Sharon's work over the years, and really all her contributions to the party. So we're really excited about that. You'll be seeing more details come in the upcoming weeks after we move past the Labor Day event about the Senior Dim event. Yeah, we're really excited to honor Sharon, and encourage you to get your gold card so you can make sure you're there to celebrate with us.
Excuse me. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay. You've been promoting all the gold cards. Cost efficient wise, how much is the gold card to actually purchase so it doesn't break the bank?
So you're asking about the ticket prices?
Well, to purchase do you purchase an actual gold card?
So we call the gold card. The gold card is just a name for the ticket. Your ticket, basically, if you purchase, the gold card is a name for the ticket that gives you access to all 4 events. You can purchase tickets to individual events, but it's more cost efficient to purchase the ticket, the all-inclusive ticket, because since you get access to all 4 versus you may decide that you want to attend every event later, and now you've had to go and purchase a ticket for each event. So that's why we encourage purchasing of the all-inclusive gold card, since it saves you the most money.
And information about all of the pricing is available on arlingtondemocrats.org/gold card.
Thanks, Joe. I think that is the last. Oh, so maybe I'll just give a brief update about our fundraising. We are a little bit past halfway our goal for our ticket sales this year. We are really seeing a lot of excitement from Arlington Democrats for our events, and we're really excited about that. We have some really fun and exciting announcements that we'll be bringing to you shortly about some of the other speakers who are speaking at our events. So we'll have some more of that information in the coming weeks. Yeah, as Jill said, if you go to arlingtondemocrats.org/gold card, there's information there about all the events, the ticket prices, and probably anything else you need to know. And if you have any questions about anything events or fundraising related, you can always send me an email at joint campaign at arlingtondemocrats.org, and we'll get an answer for you. Is Alex or Rachel, I guess, on the call to talk about the yard signs?
Hi, it's Alex. Sure. So we'll have a yard sign for our Democratic ticket here in Arlington for this fall. And so we will, I think they'll be available next week, as the slide says, and we will coordinate and distribute some more information about how and when to get those soon once we get them. They're on order right now. These are specifically for these signs. I know there's some other folks who have access to Biden or Biden-Harris signs, and look out for more information on how to get those, and we'll direct you in the right place when it comes to yard signs. Later on in the month, towards the beginning of October, we are going to be looking for folks who are going to help us place these in medians across the county. So keep that in mind, and if you're interested in helping us in putting them out, we'll give you one for your time, for sure. And so look out for that ask as well at the end of the month, and that's a way for all of us to get out of the house and do something to elect Democrats in this county. So look out for more information on that when we actually get them in, but they're on their way.
And I just want to emphasize that this year we are giving away all of our yard signs for free. So if you have been out there dying to get your hands on a Biden-Harris sign, we're the ticket that you want. So we will be getting these signs in next week, supplier willing. And we are trying to also get quantities of Biden-Harris signs, whatever that we are able to get our hands on. We will send out a blast email about and include a link to our website where we will be taking requests for signs. So watch out for that blast email. If you are not receiving our blast emails, that's terrible. You should go to our Arlington Democrats website right now, arlingtondemocrats.org, and in the upper right-hand corner, you will see where you can put your email address in to sign up for our email updates. You'll get information about yard signs, and we also are sending out at least once a week information about specific volunteer opportunities with sign-up links, which will include the median dash that Alex mentioned, along with lots of other opportunities. Okay, also want to do a shout out to our organizers from the Mark Warner campaign, from the coordinated campaign, who are focusing on Arlington. We have our two organizers' names there on the slide, Megan Davey and Donovan Hatcher. They are organizing phone banks. That is where most of the action is this year because of social distancing measures. So if you are interested in phone banking, check out the Mobilize link there, which has their upcoming opportunities. And as well, you could also reach out to Megan and Donovan. If either of them are on the line or anyone else from the coordinated campaign, happy to pause here to give you a moment to say anything. Otherwise, just wanted to give a shout out to them. They are working hard to make sure that we're contacting voters however we can this very strange election cycle. All right, so that takes us to the end of joint campaign. I want to thank the joint campaign team for all of their hard work, and we are very excited that we're going to be seeing messengers and grip cards here any day now that we finally have the early voting information that we're going to be putting front and center on those documents. So in addition to the yard sign drop, we're also going to be looking for volunteers to help us with lit drops across the county. So be on the lookout again for blast emails with sign up information for those opportunities. With that, I want to move us on to our next agenda item, which is precinct operations, and turn things over, I believe, to Carol Fontaine, our chair of precinct operations, to let us know what precinct ops is and how you can get involved. Carol? Or Fran? Did we
Carol,
lose?
you're on mute.
Unmute myself. Shall I
There we
start
go.
over again?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's been that kind of day. Good evening, Arlington Democrats. As always, even when I'm muted, it's good to be with you all. It gives me hope to see so many of you here volunteering and working hard to elect Democrats and help us save our democracy. First, I want to congratulate our new precinct captains. Welcome aboard to all of you. And I also want to thank again our area chairs and our precinct captains for all they're doing to recruit volunteers to deliver the messenger and be poll greeters on November 3rd. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. Where are the slides? There they are. Okay. Gonna move this over here. We have precinct. Yeah, so I need the next slide, please. Thank you. We have precinct vacancies in several of our 54 precincts, but these are the ones where we especially need help. You don't have to live in the precinct to be a precinct captain. Jill has told you a little bit about what precinct captains do. My overview of it is that Arlington's job is to be the difference in keeping Virginia blue. We have to get out every single last Democratic vote in Arlington to offset the other parts of the state. And a lot of that work that we do happens at the precinct level. Precinct captains are key to reaching our voters where they live and encouraging voters not only to vote for our candidates, but also to volunteer. Precinct captains do an awful lot more. If you're interested in learning more, please contact me at precinctoperations@arlingtondemocrats.org. Slide. The two main things that precinct captains and indeed all of precinct operations is focusing on now are delivering our democratic messenger and recruiting poll greeters for November 3rd. The messenger is the most cost-effective way to share voter information and showcase our candidates. It's safe, there's no voter contact. You just take the messenger up to the door and leave it under the mat. You can't put it into the mailbox because that's illegal. We're gonna begin messenger drive right after Labor Day, but volunteers can deliver on weekdays, weekday evenings, weekends, and they don't have to all be delivered in one day or even in 1 week. The goal is to get them to the voters around the time that early in-person voting begins. This year, we're going to need about 300 volunteers to distribute over 40,000 messengers. We're targeting strong and leaning Democrats. So please sign up at bit.ly/Arlington Democrats, all hands on deck. Slide, please. Poll greeting. Arlington Democrats, as Jill said, are strongly encouraging early in-person voting, but we expect that some voters will choose to vote at their regular polling places. And we want to make sure that they see and/or take a sample Democratic ballot. As you all know, local candidates are not identified by party on the official ballot. As always, safety first. There will be masks, hand sanitizers. We're going to have a stack of sample ballots on a table or a chair at each precinct. We're also going to have sandwich board signs that'll have a QR code for voters to take a photo of. And we can also put a written poster with the ballot onto the sandwich boards. We need all-day coverage, 5:30 a.m. to 7 p.m., and we're going to need about 700 volunteers. So again, if you can volunteer to be a poll greeter, go to the same place, bit.ly, Arlington Democrats, all hands on deck. Next slide, please. A part of what we do, and this is more and more important every year, is to reach voters who live in multi-unit buildings, which we affectionately call MUBs. We do this by recruiting building ambassadors. Arlington has more than 1,500 MUBs. Most are locked and inaccessible to us, but building ambassadors give us an inside helper. They are a critical source for getting voting related information to people who live in MUBs. One of the things that we're really focusing on this year, even more than we have in the past, is building ambassadors can help us share the Democratic messenger in their MUBs. Always we want to follow building protocols, but there are many different ways to do it. Sometimes they can leave a stack of the messengers in the mail room, sometimes on the front desk. Sometimes they can even drop them on the front mats. Please, if you want to volunteer to help us with this, please email us at mubs@arlingtondemocrats.org. Let's see.
Carol, I have a quick question. This is Sankita. Are they the sticky messengers this time, or are they the full page ones?
I believe they are 6 pages, and I believe it's if you go back a slide or two, it'll show.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, it's the
yeah.
pull out. Okay, thank you.
So poll greeting, MUBs, yeah. So slide, or no, slide. Okay, so how you can help. You can volunteer to help deliver the Democratic messenger. You can volunteer to be a poll greeter. You can volunteer to do both. Sign up at bit.ly/Arlington Democrats, all hands on deck. That's it for me and Precinct Ops, and thank you everybody, and we look forward to seeing you on the volunteer lists.
Thank you so much, Carol, and to everyone in Precinct Operations for all that you're doing. That bit.ly link is super important. It will take you to a page on the Arlington Democrats website where we have identified the highest need volunteer opportunities. These are opportunities where we literally need hundreds of volunteers in order to execute the activities effectively. Our major lit drops, all of our poll greeting, and any other high volume activities that we identify, we are going to add to this website to allow you a one-stop shop in terms of signing up for things that are of interest. So check that bit.ly link out. It's also, as I said, on our website, and we appreciate all the work that Precinct Ops is putting into organizing many of those opportunities for our volunteers. Also involved in organizing some of those opportunities is our amazing voter support team, which is dedicated to ensuring that our voters in Arlington have the information that they need to succeed at the polls, that their vote counts. And of course, we hope that they vote Democratic. I'm going to turn things over now to Marsha Johnston, who's going to let us know everything that's happening in voter support. And I think there's some great updates this month. Marsha?
Yeah, thanks, Jill. Hey, everybody. Yes, for those of us who've been waiting with bated breath, the early voting hours are in. They were posted yesterday. I think, yep. And so what we have is, it's great. There's some more hours than, in my experience, in the last 2 years has been the case. So obviously, I guess it's presidential year. I don't have experience from, I don't know about 16, maybe it's the same. But anyway, September 18th starts Courthouse Plaza, 2200 Clarendon. Now that's next door to the Bozeman Government Center. So it's not a big deal. I'm sure they'll have lots of signage. But in the interest of COVID, they have moved it into a former Wells Fargo bank so that it's empty and that the line, if there's a line to get in, can be outside on the plaza. So as opposed to in the lobby, if those of you remember. So those start September 18th to Halloween. October 31st will be the last day you can vote early in person, which Jill said, yes, I'm so glad you put that up. That is what we are encouraging people to do. Or to drop off their mail bag. They've got one, just take it off the Postal Service, except for people who can't do that. So 8 to 5 on Monday through Friday for the first month, let's say, till October 19th. Then they are going to have extended hours until 7 o'clock from October 19th until October 30th, which is unusual. It used to be, it was only 3 days of the last week, they would be open until 7. So, and then 3 Saturdays, which is the 17th, 24th, and 31st of October, 9 to 5. Once again, Courthouse Plaza, or the courthouse area, I should say, 2200 Clarendon Boulevard. That's next door to the Bozeman Government Center. And then on October 17th, there'll be 4 more locations opening: Aurora Hills Senior Center, Langston Brown Community Center, Madison Community Center, and Walter Reed Community Center. These are going to be on afternoons from Monday through Friday from 2 to 7. So that's good. A little bit later, not 5 o'clock, but till 7 o'clock. And then on the same Saturdays, the 17th, 3 Saturdays, 17th, 21st, and 31st from 9 to 5. So the one thing they did not post yet, and I am afraid I didn't look in the last few hours, but they did not post additional Dropbox locations. Next slide, please. We'll get to that right now. Next slide, please, because Dropboxes are important. From the same period, September 18th to the 31st. If you want to drop off your mail ballot, go to 2100. I know this is getting a little confusing, but the usual place, the Bozeman Government Center, first floor. That's where a main drop box will be for mail ballots if you want to drop it off. We think there will be drop boxes at the 4 satellite locations, but we're just awaiting sort of the final on that legislation, because it was passed to allow localities to do that, as my understanding is what I have seen some of the reporting from that special session. But we don't have that information just yet, but that is the intention, so we shall see. But at the moment, the best drop-off location is 2100 first floor, okay? During their business hours, I think, although actually no, pardon me. There is an outdoor slot right next to, I believe it's right next to the library on Clarendon Boulevard, you know, the library satellite there at 2100. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. So I wanted to talk about, just since it's about volunteers tonight, because we had a really cool one this week that I think really shows the impact of volunteers. So Rivka Tushnetz, wife of Zachary Schrag, I think they're both on the call tonight. As she was signing up to volunteer for us, she told him, hey, they need Spanish speakers, you should sign up. So he did. And then he was, we gave him some pages from the Department of Elections in Spanish and English, because he wanted to brush up on his election-related vocabulary in Spanish. And then he noticed that there was something different, discrepancies. Next slide, please. So the Spanish pages still listed a photo ID required, which, as we all should know, was changed by our legislature. They've reverted to the previous regime for IDs, which does not have to have a photo. So he wrote the department, and then he wrote to us, because he wanted to make sure that somebody in Richmond actually saw it and really acted upon it. So our own Matt Weinstein on the electoral board forwarded that mail to his contacts. Next slide, please. And got a response on the same day, I believe. Dave Nichols, Election Services Director, thanking us for bringing that to their attention and that they would be working to make those corrections. So if it weren't for Zach, this is our first time volunteer, hadn't even been out on a first event. He had the state fixing Spanish misinformation on voting on the state site. So we are giving Zach our first voter support most valuable player. And so tomorrow, I believe he is doing AFAC voter registration. And so he and his wife and Rivka will both get voter support t-shirts from Paula Potts. So that's what you can do with volunteering. So thank you again, Zach, very much. Next slide, please. If you want to be an MVP, this is what we've got. Voter registration through October 13th. So I decided to put some specifics up here because I think people can react to specifics possibly more than just generalities. So in-person voter registration, again, this is all social distance. We have, as Carol said, we have hand sanitizer, we have blue masks for volunteers, and all wipes for our tables and everything like that. We have QR codes so people can do it without taking anything from us. And so Saturday, 10 to 12:30 at Dama Restaurant. I apologize, I don't have all the addresses here, but you can certainly find them if you just look up the name. It's Ethiopian Restaurant on Columbia Pike. It'll be our second time there. The people very, very appreciative. I mean, I will be there. I just was looking for somebody to join me. We're doing 2 people at a time on voter registration, trying not to crowd sidewalks, again, socially distanced. And if you speak Amharic, that's even better, although people seem to be pretty fine either way with English or Amharic. But we have Amharic literature for people. So thanks to Paula's friend Solomon. Cynthia's Bakery is going great guns. Sandra Brody is kind of really managing that very well. Saturday 11 to 1, we're looking for a voter reg captain. That means someone who's done voter registration before, maybe not a newbie. And Spanish speaking is kind of important. I mean, there are other non-Spanish speakers there, but it's a good thing to have. And we will need many more volunteers at Cynthia's Bakery Mall going forward. That's the one right next to South Arlington Mill Community Center at Columbia Pike and Dinwiddie. There's a grocery store, Hispanic grocery there. And again, it's getting some good traction and results. And we have been at AFAC again. We're going tomorrow and Friday. And I'm looking for a captain and a volunteer, basically to staff the midday shift, 11 to 1:30. And Spanish speaking, I didn't put in here, I apologize, but Spanish speaking is pretty essential, at AFAC. And then Friday in the morning, 8:30 to 11, somebody to join Sandra, who is Spanish speaking. So if you're not, it's okay. You can just help her out. But it's best if you have a little bit anyway. And then secondly, Paula, we are looking for 3 volunteers to help us manage some back office stuff, managing Google sign-up sheets and equipment tracking, because the sandwich boards came in. I didn't even put this in. We now have the sandwich boards and 2 by 3 foot for our posters that have the QR codes on them. And so we just need someone to kind of help keep track of all this stuff and compiling a contact list for Paula, because we've had a wonderful lot of volunteer emails. So we're trying to really make sure we've answered. We know we've answered everyone, but we want to make sure we're keeping track of everyone. Okay, so that's voter registration. Those are our opportunities in voter reg. Next slide, please. And early voting, as Jill said, we are, and I want to say first, thank you so much. I have to tell you all, we are now staffed for 2 people per slot through October 13th at Courthouse. So this is a testament, I think, to how much people want to help and are dying to do something. This is all, again, we are going to be 2 people, no more, and we're still trying to figure out exactly where we're gonna place our poll greeting since the location has moved a bit. But anyway, so we do still need in-person greeters, and I put starting 9/18, that was before I knew that we were filled till 10/13. So that's great. So we've now added, we waited to find out the evening hours. So you will find on Mobilize at the 2200 site hours from October 13th through October 31st, from, you know, sort of all day down to like 6:30. So then we kind of break down. And there will be more links for the satellite locations. I had Aurora Hills, we're just getting them put up, but those also will be available to sign up for. And again, that's starting October 17th. You'll see the dates are all on there. So you can sign up for those as well. We are also looking to see if anyone is able to commit to helping us site manage, given that we have 5 sites. And this involves either primarily the concern is helping set up in the morning and close down at night. So it's helping the volunteers do that. Also, if someone's able to commit multiple hours on any particular site, that would be most welcome as well. If you are interested to help out with that, early voting at arlingtondemocrats.org, please send us a note about that. So early voting, I am so thrilled. Thank you again so much to everyone who has already signed up.
Hey, Marcia, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So one idea that I had that I challenged the early voting team.
That's right. I know what you're going to say.
Is it going to happen?
I think so, yes. But Matt, who kind of decided or said he would take that on, he's celebrating his anniversary today, so he's not here. But we're having a call day after Labor Day, so we'll plan that. Do you want to say it now or do you want to wait?
Well, I think we're going to need help. So I want to definitely get folks, interested and excited. So as many of you know, the Arlington Democrats invested in a 13-foot baby Trump balloon that I am itching to get out there as much as possible. And it just strikes me that, folks should make a date to come early vote with baby Trump. So we're going to hopefully set up a rotating schedule of when baby Trump will appear at early voting locations. And so you can check out the schedule and come vote with baby Trump. So that's the plan, looking for people to help execute it.
Right. And what I'll do is we'll get a social media campaign going on that as soon as we sort of set the dates and where he'll show up. But I would imagine he would be at courthouse if we can work that out on September 18th, the first day. But yes, we will get baby Trump out there because I think he will generate some interest.
So gauntlet thrown to voter support.
Right. Okay, so yeah, next slide, please. And then some other volunteer opportunities, phone banking, senior calling project for Biden-Harris is with Marjorie. She's looking for one or more volunteers she's got a list of 900 left. She's got a lot of people doing, she's got other people doing about 2,000 more, but that's kind of what she's got left. So if you're interested to help with that, email Marjorie there, margehobart@aol.com. And the Rise to the Polls team is finishing up a summer calling project where they're trying to help seniors apply for ballots and assess them or help them with other voting needs. So again, if you're interested to help with that, email the rides@arlingtondemocrats.org. Okay, next slide, please. Voter protection. These are, there's like 4 different possibilities here with voter protection. And the link, there is also a volunteer link which they would like you to sign up for on the Arlington Democrats page, where just the volunteer form. And I apologize that didn't get onto this slide, but just select voter protection, and so they'll know you want to sign up, and they can help you get to the State Department, the Virginia Department, in order to get trainings for any of these things that you might be interested in. So that's voter protection. So that's it, except for baby Trump. Be looking for baby Trump. We will have more on that in the next week or so. Thanks.
Thanks, Marcia. And just a related point to voter protection, voter protection volunteers are at the polls, making sure that folks don't encounter problems with hanging chads or other things that we've seen in other states. We have gotten a number of questions about whether, in addition to voter protection volunteers, whether volunteers are needed to be election officials. So a number of you have emailed into the general accounts asking this question, I think in part because NPR was raising the alarm that there are a number of officials that were needed in Maryland. I do want to let you know that from Arlington's perspective, and I think Virginia in general, we're looking good in terms of the number of people we have signed up to be election officials. That last I heard is that Arlington has double the number of people that it needs to actually staff the polls as election officials. So if you are worried about that based on NPR or anything else that you're reading, I want to set your mind at ease so that you can vote, so that you can volunteer the entire election day for Democrats, right? There are plenty of people signed up to be election officers, so do not worry about that. We have double what we need, but what we don't have enough of are poll greeters, voter protection volunteers, etc. So please come on out for that. And rest assured that we've got enough election officials. And if that's not the case, I will update you accordingly. But right now, the main focus is getting you signed up for poll greeting and voter protection on election day, plus everything else we've got going on between now and then. So thank you very much, Marcia, for that very thorough update. Lots of opportunities to get involved to help people access the polls. Yes, Stuart.
Is there training for voter protection or education in that topic?
There absolutely is. So if you sign up to be a voter protection volunteer, in fact, training is mandatory, that you must attend it so that you are able to support voters. I'd say that the training varies depending on whether you're going to be an inside voter protection volunteer or outside. If you're a first timer, I would suggest doing outside voter protection personally. I've done it and it is a very reasonable lift. You do not need to be a lawyer to do it, although many lawyers like it because it does involve looking at the state code and regulations, particularly if you are an inside poll observer. So yes, plenty of training to be had. We have an outstanding voter protection team right here in Arlington that is laser focused on the training issue and trying to make materials available. Right now, we are focused on just getting interests out there to understand who is interested in these opportunities so that we can then get you the information that you need to succeed in these roles. Okay, moving right along. Thanks again, Marcia and voter support team for all the great work. I want to move us to Beyond Arlington. While we are in the time of year where we are very much focused on making sure we deliver the blue votes in Arlington to ensure we carry the state, we never lose sight of our friends beyond Arlington's borders, and our robust Beyond Arlington program provides opportunities for you to plug into key races where we think that our additional shoe leather, or in this year, as the case may be, phone calls can make the difference. So I'm going to turn things over to Steve Baker and Rose Fabia, who are going to let us know what is happening with respect to our Beyond Arlington volunteer opportunities. Steve and Rose?
Thank you so much, Jill, and good evening, Arlington Democrats. We continue to phone bank every Tuesday and Thursday night. We ask that you join us. We're having a lot of fun making phone calls for some really great candidates in Virginia and beyond. We had a great night last night, and we've got a lot of really terrific events lined up between now and Election Day with a little more than 60 days remaining. A lot of thanks for these great events go to our Vice Chair, Rose Fabia, and a shout out to Moms Demand Action. So I'm going to let Rose tell you about the events that we have coming up. Rose?
Well, we had a kickoff event just yesterday, and it was for Elaine Loria. No, it was for Dr. Cameron Webb. And it wasn't with Dr. Cameron Webb, but it was for a field organizer who helped us with the hub dialer. And there was about 11 people there. And it was
What's a hub dialer?
Hub dialer is when it automatically dials for you and takes you right to the person. So you don't spend you don't spend a lot of time dialing. They're not home. You actually speak to a voice. And so we had about 11 people using this hub dialer for the very first time, which was pretty exciting, and giving their feedback of who they were speaking to, what were their responses. It was, I thought the moms were pretty happy with it, and they're excited to do this every Tuesday. The next one is Abigail Spanberger is coming up. That's a highlight. We also have Dan Helmer and for the life of me, I can't remember the date, but he's also going to be another date to promote Abigail Spanberger. Just like Don Byer in October 20th will be there to promote Dr. Webb. And that one is a big one because Celia Slayer, who is now the head of the Arlington Moms Demand Action, she will be inviting the Fairfax Moms Demand Action to join them to do this extra large phone banking on October 20th for Dr. Webb. She's very excited about Dr. Webb. She, like everyone else, she thinks he's a fantastic candidate, and she wants to help out with the incumbents, Spanberger and Loria. So that's every Tuesday until, I think, Election Day. That's it for me.
Thank you so much, Rose. And next slide, maybe. And I'll just say again, with less than 60 days, or a little more than 60 days to go, every phone call is so important. Abigail Spanberger and Elaine Luria are both in races that the Cook Report is now calling a toss-up. So these calls are so important. We have to send Abigail and Elaine back to Congress. And there are two really great flippable opportunities in Virginia with Dr. Cameron Webb, and then in the first district as well. And of course, we remain committed to helping out Cal Cunningham and potentially one other U.S. Senate race through either phone banking or texting. So please do join us. The voters in these districts aren't the same as they are in Arlington. So these calls are really important to identify supporters. And we are so fortunate to have great representation in these districts, like Abigail and Elaine and Shannon Taylor, who's joining us today. So we look forward to everyone signing up. If you want to know how to sign up, be sure to follow our Beyond Arlington Facebook page. You can sign up for our events there. You can sign up for our weekly email through the Arlington Democrats website volunteer page, and you can sign up for the events through the email as well. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Rose Fabio or myself. Jill, I'll turn it back to you.
Great. Thank you, Steve and Rose, for all the terrific work. And I'm so excited that we're going to be joined by a number of elected officials for some of these upcoming phone banks. There they are again. So we'll be calling into key races that are either protecting a terrific incumbent like Abigail Spanberger or Elaine Loria, or key pickups like Dr. Cameron Webb. So we're really excited to be supporting those candidates and look forward to joining these and other elected officials who are with us to the end, trying to make sure that we win these races. So be sure to come out and check that out. And of course, we are extremely grateful to Moms Demand Action for their support of gun sense candidates, because as we know, they tend to be Democrats almost exclusively. So thank you guys so much for keeping those opportunities front and center for us. It is possible to support both Arlington candidates and Beyond Arlington candidates, and Arlington Democrats is a one-stop shop for both of those kinds of opportunities. Moving right along, I want to get us to outreach, which I think has a pretty significant update. So you've heard tonight about a lot of different ways that you can get involved to deliver information about our candidates to voters. And outreach its focus is a little bit different, but still equally important in terms of spreading the Democratic message. I'm so excited by all the work that's happening in outreach this year. It's really amazing to see, and I want to turn things over to our incredible outreach chair, Mike Heminger, for the big update. Mike.
Thanks, Jill. Appreciate it. Good evening, Arlington Democrats. My name is Mike Heminger. I'm the chair of the outreach team. We can go ahead and head into the next slide. While we do that, just want to celebrate the outreach team like I do every single month. We've grown this team from about 15 people acting in a leadership role to about 50. Our Facebook groups have over 500 people. So just like Jill said, there's something for everyone. We're currently working on mobilizing the teams around National Voter Registration Day coming up on September 22nd. Next is a couple forums that we're working on. The Latino Caucus and the Black Caucus are coming together to put together a forum on the status of the Juvenile Detention Center. I've been working very closely with DETA on that, so thank you, DETA. And then also housing policy and COVID, the evictions and how all that's gonna work out. We're looking at the end of September. Farmers markets have resumed. Courthouse and Columbia Pike have been going strong. Look for Fairlington coming really, really soon. As always, we are taking all the precautions that we can to protect our volunteers. Jill, I'm so glad that you mentioned the election officials here in Virginia. We were going to start working with a group called Power the Polls, but in light of your comments, I think we will scratch that and focus on some other work. We can go to the next slide, please. I'll kick it over to Josh. He's doing incredible work in Blue Families.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so Blue Families, we are continuing to fiercely write postcards. We passed 100,000 postcards or letters written. We started back in early February, and we've just been accelerating like a giant blue snowball rolling down a hill. And now we have set a new goal of 150,000 postcards by October 1st. You know, it's at which point it'll be pencils down because we want to make sure that all of our postcards get to voters in time, what with the whole post office situation. We have 3 postcard initiatives going on right now. We got postcards for North Carolina. We are focusing on flippable state legislative races in North Carolina. There's a lot of value added here where we have obviously you got 15 electoral votes for Biden that are being helped. We have Cal Cunningham for Senate. Roy Cooper's got to be reelected for governor. And then they have a chance of flipping the state legislature, similar to what we did in the last 3 years, in which case they can end gerrymandering and really hopefully pass a whole raft of progressive legislation. So we've handpicked 12 candidates that are either tough defends or flippable seats, and so every candidate you pick will make a big difference for them. Reclaim Our Vote. We've been doing these for a while. These are postcards to we started out by doing voter registration, trying to get purged voters back on the rolls. Now we're shifting to get out the vote. We've been doing Texas, Georgia. We're focusing on those Sunbelt states where there's a real chance, where demographics are shifting, and there's a real chance of taking these seats and taking Senate seats and state legislatures. But we have to fight against racist voter suppression, and so that's what we're targeting there. And then finally, we are writing into Virginia. We had some Abigail Spanberger postcards. They got snapped up very quickly, but we have plenty of addresses for Qasim Rashid, who is running for the Virginia 1st District seat, which is, that's a seat that's always been a stretch, but this, demographics are shifting down there. You got a lot of, it's an increasingly suburbanized district. And so, we only lost by less than 10 points last year. And so let's close the gap and maybe pull off an upset. We are bringing back virtual postcard parties. We had some back at the beginning of the COVID era, and we're going to bring them back for the home stretch. And we have some special guests this time around. Representative Don Beyer is going to be joining us this Friday. There's the Mobilize link right there. You can sign up, or you can go to the Blue Families Facebook page, and we have that link as well. And we're going to have other parties coming up. Hopefully, Senator Warner is going to join us for another one, and then we'll have one co-hosted by our local candidates who are going to be on the ballot on November 3rd. So that's the Blue Family. Oh, and sad news. I feel like I didn't even need to say this, but the potluck is not happening this year. We thought about trying to make it a virtual event, but COVID, another victim of COVID. But we will bounce back stronger than ever next year, and hopefully have a lot to celebrate in September 2021. So back to you, Mike.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Arlington Democrats, we're calling on you. We are in the final stretch. Let's get to 150,000. Please grab a stack of postcards and help out Blue Families. I believe business and labor is next. So I'll kick it over to Meredith and Doug.
Great. Thank you. Can you hear me? Great. Okay, I'm going to go just to the next slide. Thank you. And certainly a lot to celebrate with that 150,000 postcards goal with Blue Families. So very much appreciate all the good work there. Hey, my name is Meredith Sumter. I help to oversee the business and labor caucuses of Arlington Democrats. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what we've been doing and what we plan to do in the weeks ahead. Our focus right now on the business side is to make the case for Joe Biden for November, not just to Democrats and Arlington Democrats, but also to the broader Arlington community. And with that, we have started a series of virtual forums where we're looking to engage the broader Arlingtonian community on why Biden is the choice for businesses, for workers, for economic recovery. And with that, we were delighted to have Delegate Herring speak on the VP's Building Back Better plan in mid-August. We're going to have Onward Biden surrogates engage our community and other parts of Biden's plan, so watch for that. Also, we published, and Arlington Arlington Now a column on supporting our small area businesses. If you haven't seen it, you can go to the Arlington Dems website to see it. We'll make sure that the link is posted around, thanks to our comms team on social media. But it's a really thoughtful take by two of our core volunteers that are actually on the call tonight as well, that speaks to why our area businesses are really a lifeblood for our communities, not just in terms of livelihoods, but also helps to bind our communities together, and steps that we can take as Arlingtonians and as Democrats to support our area businesses, especially at this critical time. Let me just stop here and see if we've got Keith Willis on the line to speak to the work of the Labor Caucus this past month.
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, Meredith.
Thank you.
So we did a Frontline Workers Forum on August 13th. That was great. We really appreciate Senator Zebin and Favola and Delegate Lopez for joining us. We featured grocery store workers and airport workers and some of our local educators on what they're facing in this moment of the pandemic. And our work is continuing, focused on the special session and trying to support workers' rights and organizing across the country. And keep an eye out for more forums coming up in the early new year. Thanks.
All right, awesome. I will take it from here. I think Doug was going to give an update on a forum that we're working on.
Yes, thank you very much, Mike. This is Doug Snowenboss. A lot of people in Arlington and maybe even some people on this Zoom call are not aware that there's a way to fix the current electoral college system without a constitutional amendment. And 15 states and the District of Columbia, but unfortunately not Virginia, have passed something called the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. So we're going to be holding an educational forum 3 weeks from tonight on September 23rd at 7 p.m. And we're going to get the word out to as many people in Arlington and all around as we can about the National Popular Vote movement. So please register for that educational forum. The registration information is at the bottom of the slide here. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Doug, and I look forward to a great forum on that. If we could go to the next slide, please. Awesome. So caucuses, you hear a lot of outreach talking about, the Labor Caucus, Black Caucus, Women's Caucus. In light of COVID, and because we can't really gather, many people are really missing that sense of community. So if that's you, please, we encourage you to join one of our caucuses. You can find all of our caucuses by going to the Arlington Dems main Facebook page, clicking on community, and you'll see all the caucuses listed below. Next slide, please. All right, first up is our AAPI caucus. You can go to the next slide. Their next meeting is going to be on 9/20. They always meet on the third Sunday of every month at 2 p.m. Their main focus right now is voter outreach and voter registration. They have been working cross-functionally with several teams, including postcards, texting, voter support. So they are really working on ramping up, getting some voter registration pop-up tables all around Arlington. If you want to join, again, please join the group. You can also send an email to aapicaucus@arlingtondemocrats.org. Next slide, please.
What does AAPI stand for?
Asian American and Pacific Islander. Great question, Jill. Thank you. All right, the Black Caucus, next slide. Our meeting is going to be on 9/15 at 8 p.m. Please feel free to join our group or send an email to blackcaucus@arlingtondemocrats.org. We hosted a forum last month on broadband equity here in Arlington. Had a really large turnout. I encourage you to watch the replay if you missed it. We are in the process of organizing a membership drive. We are also working on setting up listening sessions with the county board so that we can hear directly from the county board and vice versa in times of COVID. It's going to be similar to like a town hall style, but we're going to be meeting out in the park. We're also in the beginning phases of co-sponsoring a resolution calling on the logo change here in Arlington, so stay tuned on that. An affinity letter will be circulating very, very soon. We're also in the beginning phase of organizing voter registration tables in Green Valley and Halls Hill, so stay tuned. Next slide, please. All right, last meeting we talked about a school supply drive. We have had an incredible amount of support. If you go to the next slide, I put in some pictures. We have had boxes and boxes and boxes of school supplies that have come in. So Arlington, thank you so much. We never could have imagined that we would have had this amount of outpouring for Arlington students headed back to school. You still have one more week to donate if it's, if you're able to, we encourage you to, but thank you all so much. There's been so much that we have to take several trips to drop off all of the supplies that have come in. Next slide, please.
Hey, Mike.
Sure.
Why not? I bought some stuff on Amazon, but I had deliver it to what's her name down near Shirlington. Yes. What would be a good address to, if you go shop online on Amazon, you can use somebody's address to have the stuff sent directly to somebody who can then take it to the school?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mark. Thank you so much. Jill, if it's okay with you, I can drop a Amazon link in the chat. Anything that you order, we've already selected a list of items that we need. Anything that you decide to purchase will get sent directly to Kim's address. So that's a great question.
Yeah, for sure. Put it in the chat and maybe update these slides so that when we add them to the website, it's there as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We could head over to the next slide, please. All right, another initiative that we're working on jointly with the DPVA Black Caucus, which is the statewide equivalent, is a group called We Vote Safe. And we are going to be setting up in businesses all across Arlington, really all across the Commonwealth, but it is a joint venture that we're working on with DPVA. Next slide, please. All right, switching gears into the Disabilities Caucus. They had their first meeting on 8/14 at 7 p.m. You can go to the next slide. You can reach them at disabilities@arlingtondemocrats.org. They are currently working on putting together a forum highlighting all the changes that have come about in the 30 years of the passage for ADA. We expect that to be done this month. If you're interested in joining their meeting, please visit their Facebook group and you can find all the login details there. Next slide, please. All right, I will kick it over to Fatima, who is going to talk to us about all things interfaith.
Okay. Let's see. Awesome, Mike. Thanks. My name is Fatima Argan, and I am the vice chair for Interfaith, the Interfaith Caucus, also previously known as the Interfaith Outreach and Advocacy Committee. Next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me. Let's go back to the slide. Sorry about that. I forgot about the meeting. So we have our meetings. We have weekly meetings every Sunday. From at 1 p.m., all by Zoom, of course. Our next meeting is on 9/6, this coming Sunday. If you'd like to join us, we'd be delighted to have you. We have a very cozy team, but a very hardworking one, and we're always looking for more people to to give us more ideas about other projects that we can do. So anyway, next slide, please. Okay, so this past Sunday, we had our third annual Interfaith Eid celebration, which was an amazing success. It was outside, and this year, because of COVID, obviously, it's changing everybody's lives, and we were no different. We thought for the longest time about how we were going to pull this off. Initially, we really, really wanted to have an in-person meeting. We wanted people. The idea for the Interfaith Eid is really to bring the community together and to get them to talk to one another, to get to know each other, basically bring together parts of the community that otherwise probably wouldn't interact, and make new connections and figure out how we can all work together. So this year, obviously, that wasn't possible. So we thought about it. We thought, a really big part of Eid is having the lamb feast. It's a very traditional part of the holiday. And so what we decided is we're going to go ahead and still do that part of it. The programming, obviously, wasn't going to work with, 125 people, even outdoors. We decided it just, was too risky. So we decided instead to do a hybrid program where we still had the feast. We were at Quincy Park last Sunday, where we handed out 125 Eid lamb dinners and halal meals. And the great thing about it is those halal meals were made by Syrian refugees. So the important part here is that, you know, in addition to celebrating the festivity of the holiday and sharing it with the community, we also help to support Syrian refugees in this country who otherwise may not have a way of supporting themselves. So I think that, you know, we did a number of really good things with this event. The other part of the event was raising money for AFAC. We raised almost $1,000, and in addition to which, we had a number of different food drop-offs around town, and we got a whole bunch of non-perishable food items as well. So that was a resounding success as well. I would encourage you all to going back to the hybrid celebration for Eid, I would encourage you all to go to our Facebook group page, Interfaith Caucus, the Arlington Dems Interfaith Caucus page, and check out our video, because it's really outstanding. It's a video that this year I had 3 activists from the samaritan Sarah Qureshi, who is a doctor at Georgetown University School of Medicine, Samara Weinstein from the Nova Social Action Network, and Wendy Chan from the Nova Friends of Refugees, and who was one of our partners, actually. And I want to do a shout out here to Ken Spiker and Alexandra Ritchie. And I don't know if Anika Rahman is on this call, but those were 3 stellar members of my team that just really went the last mile to make sure that everything was done, all of the logistics. And there were a lot of them in putting this together, really came off without a hitch. So I can't thank them enough. And also there's terrific pictures on our website, on our page too, which I didn't have a chance to upload here, but they're all there, and I've got a few more that I still need to add. So anyway, one other thing that's on the video, and actually that was on our webpage before, is Eid greetings. I forgot to thank the county board members and the school board members last time for recording their lovely Eid greetings. They were all really very much appreciated by the community. So I forgot to do that last time, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget this time. And we also added them to our video too. So you got double exposure there. Let's see, a couple of other things. Oh yeah, and we also gave out goodie bags. In the goodie bags, we had a number of different sponsors that were supporting us: Moms Demand Action, Nova Friends of Refugees, and we also had games for kids and stuff. So all around it was great. So going on to other events, we had voter registration at the event as well. Marcia and her team were wonderful to send some people out so that we could take advantage of the crowd that came to pick up their Eid meals. And so we're continuing to mobilize the area interfaith organizations. There are 2 in particular that I'm working with that I've plugged into a number of people here at Arlington Dems, including Josh's group, who they have contacted Josh to see if they can help with letter writing and postcard writing. And I've also gotten them involved in phone banking and texting. One group is called Jamaat, which stands for Jews and Muslims and Allies Acting Together. The other one is the Sisterhood of Salam Shalom. And both of those groups are incredibly active. So very happy to plug them into all of our efforts. Finally, I'm connecting with the Biden interfaith teams, in particular one called Believers for Biden. They're interested in reaching out to communities and seeing how they can mobilize, the stuff that we're already doing and how we can all work together to create the sum that's greater than the parts. So stay tuned for that. That's in process. And let's see, I think that's pretty much it. Yep, that's it. we're always inviting volunteers to join our team, as I said. We got a couple, actually, we got quite a few people to sign up at the Eid takeout event too. So that was quite successful. So anyway, please join, like, and engage with our Facebook group, Interfaith Caucus at arlingtondemocrats.org. And that's it. Thanks, Mike. Back
Awesome.
to you.
Thanks, Fatima. It was so great seeing you and the entire team in person over the weekend. I can't thank you enough for the incredible work and the all the things that you're doing in Interfaith. So thank you, and thank the Interfaith team. We could head over to the next slide, please. All right, Latino Caucus had their first, not their first, but one meeting on Monday. They have some new members acting in a leadership role. You'll see some familiar faces there, as well as some vacancies in communications, outreach, and membership. If you are interested in joining the Latino Caucus, please send an email to latinocaucus@arlingtondemocrats.org. Next slide, please. Some of the things that they are currently working on, we are celebrating them for reaching out to more than 1,000 voters during the caucus election. They also co-hosted a statewide Latino outreach event for Biden. Had tremendous turnout and a lot of elected officials that ended up on that. Next slide, please. More locally, what they're working on is voter registration. Sandra has been everywhere, really active. We're looking for more volunteers. They're phone banking every Thursday. There's a huge focus on the census, and then canvassing once the messenger is done. Latino Caucus has let us know that they are willing and ready to help out. So thank you, Latino Caucus. Next slide, please. As mentioned earlier, we're working on a joint venture. Save the date, September 22nd, 7 p.m. We will be having a forum on the status of the Juvenile Detention Center. Next slide, please. All right, Milvets, you can head to the next slide. Their monthly meeting is going to be on 9/26 at 10 a.m.
That's a great idea. I don't know if they're volunteer or they're meeting by
are,
Everyone can go on mute, or Maggie, if you can mute everyone, that'd be helpful.
Thank you, Jill. They're resuming their monthly food drive. It's going to be next Saturday at 10 a.m. Please wear your Democratic gear to get some great pictures. They are also phone banking every Monday at 4:30 p.m. And then last month, they had a phone bank for Representative Elaine Luria, and they're going to continue to do that leading up to the election. You can find them on Facebook, or you can send them an email, milvets@arlingtondemocrats.org. Next slide, please. All right, Women's Caucus. Next slide. Very quick on this. They're having their kickoff meeting, or their next meeting, I should say, on September 8th at 7:30. You can find more information by going to the Women's Caucus Facebook group. Next slide, please. All right, switching gears and putting on my AYD hat, you can go to the next slide. We are going to talk to you about all things AYD. We had our monthly meeting last night, and we had a constitutional amendment. I'm going to give you a quick update on some of the things that we changed. We added more inclusive pronouns. We removed the, we added a diversity and inclusion director in place of the outreach director. We added a political director. We removed the outreach committee and transitioned that into a diversity and inclusion committee, and much more. So many of the board members have been working behind the scenes to make this a reality, and that vote passed unanimously last night. So we will be adding a diversity and inclusion director and committee to our board at the start of next year. Next slide, please. Civil rights and liberties, they have their meeting coming up this week. If you're interested in attending, please go to our Facebook page. Next slide, please. We have a virtual resolutions meeting next Tuesday at 7 p.m. We have 3 resolutions that we're currently working on. We would love to have you attend and put some insight into those resolutions. Next slide. We're working on a virtual phone bank for Elaine Luria, September 9th at 7 p.m. You can find more info on our Facebook page. Next slide, please. All right, we are putting together a food drive for AFAC. That is going to be happening next Saturday from 10 to 5. So if you're interested, you can find more information on our Facebook page. Next slide, please. All right, Blues Clues, trivia night, some fun way to kind of, lead up to the election. That's going to be happening on 9/6. And I'm going to pass it over to Matt in a second, who's going to give us a little bit more information about that. That'll be at 7. If you're interested in joining, more info on our Facebook page. Next slide, please. All right, we have a virtual phone bank coming up for Kyle Cunningham. It's going to be on September 23rd, 7 p.m. Next slide, please. I know I'm going really fast, but you can find more information on our Facebook page. The Arlington Young Dems has 12 events this month, so almost an event every other day on the AYD side. If you're bored, need something to do, please come find us. I'm going to kick it over to our Vice President who has a couple words.
Hey, how's it going? Matt Royer. I'm the Vice President of AYD, and I'm stepping in tonight on behalf of our president who is out. So yeah, as Mike mentioned, we have a lot going on. The one thing that we are doing, which he mentioned before, was that we are doing a trivia event every other week to promote our phone banks that we're doing. One of the things that we are trying to do is get people to show up to phone bank more. So what we're doing is every call that you make counts towards points towards these trivia contests. And we're taking that model, and that's what we're doing for our gold card. So if you haven't bought your gold card tickets already, please do. AYD always has a great event every year since we've been able to. Also, I just want to, make sure that everyone knows AYD is doing everything we can to promote our Democratic ticket here in Arlington. That goes from the schoolhouse all the way to the White House, as well as helping out a couple of the efforts around the Commonwealth in the 2nd, the 5th, and the 7th district, as well as outside of the state, helping to flip the Senate, hopefully in the next session. So, I just, as always, want to thank the Arl Dems for allowing us to have the space to talk here. And I just want to, emphasize what Mike mentioned earlier. We are committed to improving our organization, which is why we took up this constitutional amendment to institute a diversity and inclusion chair and director for next year that would be a voting member on our board. We are very committed to making sure not only are we talking the talk, but we're walking the walk and leading the pack when it comes to these instrumental changes. We want to make sure that this is a model that Young Dems chapters can use, not just throughout Virginia, but throughout the country, because in this time we need to be making sure that, everybody in our big tent party has the equal opportunity to show up and to give their voice to the issues that they care about. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows how hard this team worked on this and how excited we are to not only have the diversity and inclusion outreach chair next year, but also a political director that will be focused on the policy points, as well as all the other things that we are working on legislatively. So thank you, Jill, as always, and thank you, Arl Dems, for helping us out as we are working towards, hopefully taking back the White House and taking back the Senate. So I'll turn it back to you.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Mike, for that tremendous update as well. Outreach and AYD, and please, there's no reason to thank the Arlington Democrats. We are delighted as always to provide time for our most important partner in the county to let everybody know about all the amazing things that you have going on. And it is definitely a partnership, and really appreciate all the work that y'all are putting into it. And I want to emphasize that even if you are not technically a Young Democrat, you are always welcome at AYD events. They let me in, folks. They'll let you in too. It's definitely a warm and open group. So please, if you've heard of an event or a volunteer activity that AYD is sponsoring, don't feel like you have to meet an age criterion in order to attend. Join me. Help me not feel so old in the room, and we'll have a great time and do some good work with the AYD. So thank you guys so much. moving right along. We are fortunate, as always, to have one of our elected officials, local elected officials, provide an update. We alternate every month. One month we do county board, another month we do school board. This month we are delighted to be receiving a school board update from our chair of the school board, Monique O'Grady. So I will turn it over to her.
Thank you very much, Jill. We are so appreciative of the opportunity to speak to what an amazing group this is. And first, before I get started, I just would like to say thank you so much to the Black Caucus for doing the school supplies drive for Drew Model School. I did go to the website. I did see that there are a few openings and items still available to be purchased. And so just want to thank the Black Caucus for that. Outreach and all the Arlington Democrats for supporting it and supporting our students. So let's get started. On behalf of my co-chair, Dr. Barbara Cannonen, and school board members, Tanya Talento, Nancy Van Dorn, and Reed Goldstein, I want to thank you for the opportunity to give you this update. Next slide. Well, people, we are headed back to school on Tuesday, September 8th. We actually thought we would be starting school yesterday, but because of the COVID situation, our superintendent, Dr. Francisco Duran, had decided that because of several issues, we should actually start back in a full virtual mode as opposed to what we had originally thought we were going to do, which would have been a combination of hybrid and virtual learning. And so we delayed school by 1 week so we could ensure that our staff were ready to provide excellent virtual real-time education for our students of new lessons. And so our staff has been hard at work preparing for a virtual start for Tuesday. We are excited to say that our teachers are ready to do that and to have online learning for our students. They will have synchronous learning. That means real-time learning as we're talking right now and you're watching, similar to that, 4 days a week. And then the non-synchronous learning 1 day a week on Mondays. Thank you. Next slide. We are trying to ensure that our families are ready for that new style of learning by supporting them in many different ways, including a new parent handbook that we have for our parents to help support their students as they learn at home. Parent Academy courses that parents can take as well to help support their students. We're providing regular school board monitoring reports about our back to school efforts. And the superintendent is also providing weekly updates for staff and families on Tuesdays. We've just started new bi-weekly updates for services for our special education, English language learners, and gifted students as well to make sure that their needs are met as well. And our families can continue to keep up to date with our work by looking at our website, working with our Engage Frequently Asked Questions page, and we're also providing essential reminders through text, robocalls, and videos. We have special events, including town halls, back to school nights, and parents and families can also keep up to all of our educational works through Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and we're using WhatsApp as well, especially for our Spanish language speaking families. For people who want to continue to keep up to date and have questions about how this virtual learning will continue, they can reach out on our APS Engage page, and we are answering questions there. Next slide, please. You may be wondering how we will move forward during the COVID situation, and we are actually at APS going to be looking at the possibility of beginning to bring students back as early as October 1st. Dr. Duran has shared that at that time he will look at several different metrics to see if we can safely bring students back to school slowly, and he has said that he is prioritizing our special needs students first and then looking at other groups based on need, including our English language learners, younger students as well. But you might be wondering, what are some of the metrics we're going to be looking at as we move forward to decide when we're going to begin bringing students back to school? Of course, we'll be looking at all of the health metrics, including case rates, hospitalizations, not only in Arlington, but also across the metro region, because many of our staff actually work in, they work in Arlington, but they live outside of Arlington. So we'll be looking at metrics across the metro area. In addition to that, we have 3 different areas that we're looking at to help us determine when it's safe to bring our students and our staff back into our buildings. And that, looking at operational concerns, we'll be looking at whether we have sufficient staff levels for cleaning, for providing in-person instruction for those families who have told us that they want a combination of hybrid learning, 2 days of in-person learning and 3 days at home. We'll also be looking at how we're able to provide safely transportation for our students, our food services, and we also want to make sure that we have the appropriate amount of cleaning and disinfecting supplies on hand. We are also going to be looking at making sure that we have the appropriate personal and protective equipment available for our staff, our students, and faculty as well. And we're also going to be looking at ensuring that we have the proper equipment available for isolation and quarantine rooms in case we have students who we believe may have the virus as well. We're also going to be looking at and ensuring that we have the proper items to make sure that our students are safe. That includes temperature screenings, face control, face covering, and cleaning and disinfecting routines in place. We're going to be ensuring that we have social distancing and that we have the ability to ensure that we can provide social distancing as we would be providing that in-person learning. And we want to make sure that we can implement all the important protocols and ensure that our students, if they need them, can get COVID tested. Next slide, please.
Monique, may I just ask a quick question? Are we using, is Arlington County Public Schools using a rapid response or a COVID test that gives a response like in 15 minutes?
No, what I'm saying is that we need to make sure that the testing is available, and I'm not sure that we have that rapid testing available in 15 minutes. It may actually require us to use other forms of testing that might be 3-day response, et cetera. So at this point, I can't speak to whether or not we're going to have a 15-minute test available, but those are some of the things that we're looking at. What is the testing available to us? And that will help us determine when it's the right time to go back to school.
Okay, thank you.
I do appreciate that question. Thank you so much. And because so much of our learning will be done on the internet and synchronous live learning, we need to make sure that we have good internet support for our students. I do want to share with you that we have provided digital devices and computer devices or iPad devices to all of our students, pre-K all the way up through 12th grade for all of our APS students. So of course, being able to be connected to the internet is important for the success of that program. We're very fortunate that the county has partnered with us and has provided up to $500,000 for us to connect families via Comcast Essentials, which is a program that gives families internet at a cost of $10 a month that will be covered by that grant. If you're in a Title I school, you're automatically approved to receive that. But yet, if families are not successful in signing up with the Comcast Essentials, we have several other ways to help them connect. You all might be familiar with the Arlington wireless opportunities as you move around the county, and sometimes those are at libraries or at community centers. We are in the process of mirroring those sites to provide APS wireless as well for families who may want to take advantage of wireless at those locations. We're also working to put internet in and around Arlington in buildings that may have a specific need for families who are not signed up for internet. And so we're currently working to ensure that we can provide internet to certain buildings, and you see some of them there, so that if a student has an APS device, they can connect to APS wireless if they live in those buildings. We're also looking at providing internet at Ballston Mall as well. In addition to that, we will be placing MiFis, which are kind of like personal hotspots in areas near all of our South Arlington schools. Randolph is one of them, and we will continue to be doing that at our other schools in South Arlington as well. And for families who still have problems in spite of all of those different opportunities that we will be putting in place, we will also have 500 MiFis that have unlimited wireless for their students so that they can also participate in the learning. And then we are seeing some wonderful upgrades because we use Teams, we do not use Zoom, with Office 365 that will allow our teachers to have all of the students on the screen at the same time and allow them to break out into groups. Next slide, please. We have been working to feed our students over the summer, and as of Friday, August the 28th, we had served more than 450,000 meals to students, and that was over 23 weeks. This week, we do not have meal distribution. We are in the process of switching over to our school meal service, and we have gotten really good news just this week from the Department of Agriculture. And that news is that previously throughout the summer and since we went to virtual learning, we have had the opportunity to be able to offer free meals to any student, any child ages 2 to 18 for free. We were worried that that was going to expire with the summer, but we just got word that that will continue through the fall months. So we're getting more information that's just kind of hot off the presses news. So we are happy to say that families who need meals can get them now, continue to get them for free through, we believe, at least the end of the year. Can I have that next slide, please? And as we're beginning, as I mentioned, we're transitioning to our school year meal distribution program. You can see that we are expanding our distribution from the current 9 locations to now 21 schools. We'll continue to offer those meals 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And next week, I should say, since school begins on Tuesday, those meals will be served Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, just this upcoming week only. And in addition to that, we have identified a few additional meal locations that are not at schools. They are the 3 community centers you see there: Aurora Hills Community Center, Lee Community Center, and Walter Reed Community Center, as well, to try to serve our students to make sure that they're well fed and ready for robust learning. Next slide, please. Now, I just want to share with you that every year, and this is a slide you should kind of be familiar with, our school board action plan. Each year, the school board works to identify its priorities and the things that we're going to be working on. And then we kind of use this as a guide throughout the year to let you know how our work is going. This is a draft of the upcoming school board action plan, and we're going to see it for information at our meeting on September the 10th and vote on it at the end of the month. But I just wanted to give you an idea of where we are with our work to try to prioritize what we think is important this year. And one of the things that we are going to be concentrating on throughout the year is our focused work on equity. You are familiar that we have hired a Chief Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Officer. And what you may not know is at our last school board meeting, we actually adopted our first equity policy for the school system ever. So we are planning on continuing to expand that work throughout the year, and we're really excited about the equity policy. We'll continue to do some work on PIPs. Now, let me just go over a few of these things really quickly. As we take a look at our draft school board action plan, here are some of the things that we want to concentrate on. We want to make sure we have excellent education, no matter which way we're delivering it, whether it's virtual or in-person instruction. We talked a little bit about the importance of Wi-Fi, and you can see from the previous slide that that is a major area we're working on to ensure that we have technology and Wi-Fi connectivity for all of our students. We want to make sure that we are remaining safe, and you saw that in some of the slides as well. In addition to that, we want to, and we're bringing forth 2 items that we had in our school board action plan in the last year, and we think these are important for the social and emotional needs of our students and our staff. We want to try to ensure that we have students, that every student can identify one person that they feel is a trusted adult. And we also want to support the mental health and physical wellness and social and emotional needs of our students and our staff. Now let's look a little bit at the operational planning as we move forward. As I mentioned, we have already adopted an equity policy, and we'll start with the corresponding PIPs, and those are the policy implementation procedures, and we will be looking at policies also that deal with facilities and discipline. In addition to that, we are going to be looking at the relationship that APS has with our SROs and the Arlington Police Department. I'll talk a little bit more about that in upcoming slides. We will be looking at our budget, which I'm going to be honest with you, will be a challenging budget, not just for the upcoming FY 2022 budget, but also the current budget that we're in, and I'll have a slide or two about that coming up. We're going to be working on our capital improvement plan, and we are going to be refining something called the instructional program pathways. We offer our students multiple pathways to success, and that can mean if you love to be in STEM or immersion, etc. How do we ensure that students who are exposed to those things can continue that pathway all the way up until they graduate, and so they don't run into a roadblock, let's say at 6th grade, but they can continue to experience some of those things. So that's what the instructional program pathways is about. It helps us with our planning. And in addition to that, we are going to be looking at changing our school boundaries. We will have a new school that's going to open at the Reed site coming up, not this year, but next year. And we will be creating a new neighborhood school at the Key site. So we are having to change our boundaries to adjust for that and to better make sure that our students are not crowded in some schools and have space in others. And then we'll look at naming and renaming schools as needed. Next slide, please. Okay, we mentioned a little bit about the budget, and as I said, we are going to be looking at some budget challenges this year. We are looking at that in each of our superintendent's return to school status updates, and COVID-19, of course, is adding to many of those challenges. We mentioned to you that we need to have PPE. We have situations where we are not getting funding or tuition for our extended day staff. All in all, we're millions of dollars in the hole. But fortunately, the county has shared with us that it will be using some of its CARES dollars to help support us in trying to meet some of that shortfall. At this point, the county has earmarked $7 million to help us meet our shortfall. When we take a look at some of the savings we'll have because we're not in person, and we take a look at potential revenue losses, et cetera, just at this point in time, we're still about $1.75 million in an operating deficit. So we will continue to work with the county, continue to look at our financial situation to see how we can try to remain on track. And as you see there, county, state, local, and federal revenue changes are having an impact. And we are looking at a compensation study that Human Resources is working on. So just want to let you know that unfortunately this year we were unable to give our staff raises because of deficits in our budget. Next slide, please. I mentioned the review of the APS relationship with the SROs. As you know, nationally, there has been a lot of attention on police and concerns across the country and in our own community about police officers. We know that there is we're looking at that on the county level, and this will be our opportunity to look more specifically at the school resource officers in our school system. Brian Stockton, our new chief of staff, will be helping to lead that work. And just so you know, we do have an MOU with the Arlington County Police Department. It was actually reviewed 2 years ago, and with looking at how we can ensure that the relationship was more spelled out. It was about 1 page previously. Now it's about 11 pages. We're going to be reviewing how those roles and responsibilities, the SROs and the school administrators shall be looked at in the future in our school system. And if I can have the next slide, I would like to give you a preview of what we're looking at. So actually tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. we're going to have a virtual school board work session to discuss this particular issue. And these are some of the things that we're going to be discussing. We're looking at launching an SRO webpage on the Engage site so we can take information and interests and concerns and categorize them as we start to have this conversation. That's going to launch this month. We are going to have a work group, and we're going to open applications in October for that work group. In November, the superintendent and school board will work with the staff to select members of that work group, and we're looking at having more than 40 members on that work group at this point. We will launch those work group meetings in December. We're looking at having work group meetings January through June, in addition having a public hearing in January and having the working group make recommendations to the school board and the superintendent in June of 2021. And we will, again, this is just draft and subject to change, but at this point, this is what we will be discussing at our work session tomorrow. Next slide, please. And just want to let you know that if any of these areas in our school action plan have piqued your interest, there's lots of ways to continue to keep engaged with that. Again, go to our Engage page. You'll see links to our school board work sessions and meetings, presentations, timelines like the one I just laid out, data and what we're hearing from our community on these issues. And you can also get and stay involved by looking at our Engage messages, using social media. We have school ambassadors who work to keep our families in the know. And of course, we have news releases. And in our last slide, I'll take the next slide. Thank you. We want you to stay connected with us. You can sign up to receive our monthly newsletters and agendas. You can speak at a board meeting. Currently, because we're having virtual board meetings, you need to sign up 2 days at least in advance because we are doing these meetings via phone. We're doing the speaker opportunities via phone, and so we need to know a little bit ahead of time whether or not you're interested in speaking. We invite you to visit our Engage page, as I've mentioned before. Please follow us on social media. You can email us at the board, or you can call and leave a message, and we can also get your information there. Thank you so much, Jill, for the opportunity to speak. And I'm not sure whether we have time for questions, but I'm here if we do.
Well, I really appreciate that, Monique. I don't think we do have time for questions because I do want to make sure we get to our special guest, but thank you for that very important update about all that's happening with the schools during this very challenging time, and for all the great work that you and the school board and our administration and teachers are doing in support of our students. So thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you in a couple months. Moving right along in our agenda, I do want to note one more upcoming event that we've not yet discussed, just to give a shout out to an event that our two school board candidates are hosting with our tremendous Congressman Don Beyer. That's on September 12th. You can RSVP by calling Max at the number that's on the screen. We definitely want to make sure we get these two folks over the finish line in November. So please, if you're interested in supporting our two school board candidates, please check out this event. So there you go. Grab that information. All right, moving on to our special speaker of the night. Of course, all of our speakers are special, but we don't often get guests from outside of Arlington. We are delighted tonight to be joined by Shannon Taylor, who is making an announcement of her candidacy for a position that will not appear on this November's ballot, but will appear next 2021 primary. So with that, let me turn things over to Shannon. And I believe also a member of her campaign staff is here as well.
So thank you, Jill. Good evening, Arlington Dems. First of all, Jill, you run one heck of a meeting. I know that we're getting ready to eclipse the 2-hour mark, but you guys are so organized and have so much going on up there. It's been amazing to watch this machine work. So congratulations on that. And yes, the good news is there's a lot of great people here that I recognize. Give Christina Diaz my shout out for my Emerge sister. And I saw Fatima and Steve and just some really wonderful people that I've been having conversations with over the last 4 months. And for the rest of you, I've not had an opportunity to introduce myself, or if you don't know anything about me, I am Shannon Taylor. I am the Commonwealth Attorney in Henrico County. And I have to do this little plug. 3 times elected. The first time I beat Eric Cantor's hand-picked guy, Bill Janus, in 2011. And now I get to say, I beat Trump's ICE director in 2015, Tony Pham. So I like to now be able to say that. But the idea of coming here before you this evening was to let the people who did not know that I was exploring, I am exploring this run for Attorney General in 2021. I know that we've all heard the news today about Attorney General Mark Herring, who I consider to be a friend and a great colleague, who is interested in, who's expressed that he will be running for a 3rd term for Attorney General. And I do want the people who have supported me thus far and who are interested in knowing a little bit more about me to know that I take that very seriously. And obviously for the people who have asked me to look into this, I want to kind of weigh all of that out. And obviously Mark's decision to run is one of those things that I will consider as we move forward. But right now we got a couple of things I want to just tell you about. First and foremost, about the work that I'm doing with my good friend, my colleague, Parissa Tafty, who I wasn't sure was on the phone. But Parissa and I are members of what we're calling the Virginia Progressive Prosecutors for Justice. And I hope that you all have seen how active we've been with this special session that's working on criminal justice reform and police reform. Specifically as to criminal justice reform, you've heard us talk about, the felony assault on law enforcement, Senator Surville's bill, the idea of expungements, how I've been working on that in years past. Look forward to continue to work on that with Majority Leader Herring, and the jury sentencing aspect, ideas that we know that Parissa and I have identified as inequities in our criminal justice system. And then of course with that comes the police reform. And as I was saying the other night, police reform comes with it prosecutorial examination. And what are prosecutors doing to make sure that the system is in fact fair? And specifically, one of the things I've done in Henrico was hire someone who is going to be specifically assigned. The title is Deputy Commonwealth Attorney for Police Integrity and Community Outreach. And it's specifically an attorney who is going to be handling the internal complaints that we have received, the citizen complaints, and watching body-worn cameras and identifying when we have law enforcement officers who are not acting appropriately, so to speak, not within their community caretaker, public safety standards. But I also want to point out that when Senator Eben was talking about prosecutorial discretion and responsibility and transparency, he brought up the conflict of interest, and he actually introduced a bill that talked about the Attorney General's office and getting involved in some of these officer-involved shootings. And that's one of the reasons why I really believed I brought a specific skill set, having investigated officer-involved shootings, prosecuted them, that what I believe to be really critical for the Attorney General's office moving forward. Lots of great things we've done. This is kind of like the next thing. We've seen the trend happening nationally with Attorney Generals taking on that very large responsible role. So that's just a little bit about me. And again, I know we're getting close here to the end, but I do want to thank Jill to give me this opportunity to introduce myself to everybody, and certainly know that I'm working hard to reelect my Congresswoman, Abigail Spanberger, on November 3rd, that I'm going to be helping with the coordinated campaign for Biden and Harris, going to join some other prosecutors because we got a VP, she's my colleague in crime right there, and making sure that we have a new occupant in the White House come November 3rd, and really to maintain this control that we have in Virginia with our great Democratic congressionals, pick up these 2 more seats and really, really work hard, because that is the big target, is November 3rd. But just want to say I'm here to work with you all. I look forward to working with you again after that as we move forward to continue to keep Virginia blue and do the right thing and continue to elect great Democrats. So thank you very much again, Jill, for this evening.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for coming. And I couldn't say it better myself. We're excited for all the different races that are happening in Virginia in 2021. But first and foremost, we are laser focused on getting over the finish line in November. So thank you for for emphasizing that. It's a great way to end our meeting here tonight. Thank you for those remarks. Thank you to all of our speakers who came here today to let everyone know about the many volunteer opportunities and events and ways to get involved that we have here in Arlington for our Arlington candidates, as well as for candidates beyond Arlington. We are in an all of the above election year. That is what I'm calling it. So folks, if you have spare time, we have ways to get you involved. Please go to our website, go to our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. There's many different ways that you can find out about those activities. As I mentioned, all of these slides will be posted to our website probably tomorrow. But in the meantime, you can check out our webpage and our Facebook page for information about how to get involved. It is a very strange year. Normally we would be pounding the pavement with voter registration and Metro Action. We're not able to do a lot of things, but that has never stopped the Arlington Democrats. We are out there in full force virtually. We are working the phones as hard as we can. We are being as creative as possible with the postcards, with everything, but we need your help. So please sign up, be generous with your time, be generous with your ideas. We're definitely looking for interesting ways to connect with folks, and stay tuned because we are going to have that really important yard sign information that I know everyone's looking for. And I hope that you will grab yours as soon as they become available. In the meantime, if you've not yet done so, please, if your circumstances allow, buy your gold card, your ticket to fun and adventure this election cycle here in Arlington. arlingtondemocrats.org/gold card is where you go to purchase your tickets. We actually saw about $2,000 come in during this meeting alone. So thank you for everyone who bought your gold card. If you've not yet jumped on that bandwagon, please do so. We need your support now more than ever to make sure we're able to reach voters in Arlington and beyond. So thank you everyone for everything that you are doing, and I look forward to seeing you on the virtual campaign trail. And with that, I will conclude our meeting. Thanks a lot, everybody, and have a great night. Y'all can come off.